In this lesson, we're going to be discussing our Helpdesk systems. Helpdesk systems are one of the underrated tools in terms of account expansion and growth. Ultimately, Helpdesk systems are about resolving customer issues. And yes, we have chat channels, yes, we have calls, and yes, we have meetings. And those are a great way to build customer relationships and move the ball forward on projects and implementations, but they are not actually the best way to capture negative feedback. Negative feedback is something where there's a problem or perceived problem, and you need to solve it. Solving problems well is a great way to build trust. You actually want negative feedback. You want to collect as much of it as you can. Negative feedback is awesome. When I managed the support department for a SaaS company, only 1 to 3 people out of 100 would actually submit a ticket upon seeing an issue. And we noticed this trend for a number of different customers, and we noticed it was relatively consistent. And this is a problem because without negative feedback, you can't improve. Bill Gates once said, "Your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning," and I personally could not agree more. Nothing is actually more beneficial to the relationship than saying, "We received X number of complaints about this. So not only did we resolve those specific complaints, but we dug in deeper and we focused on it and we found out some underlying issues and we're trying to figure out how to improve those and we're going to make the next steps necessary." This is a great way of saying your account is important to us. All of our accounts are important to us. We're listening, we're paying attention, we're seeing these issues, and we're going to fix the underlying issue. Now, we have to make sure we actually do fix those problems. But when we do, this leads to the opportunity to really change relationships. The Benjamin Franklin effect is a cognitive bias that causes people to like someone more after they've done that person a favor, especially if they've previously disliked the person or felt neutral towards them. The people who are submitting tickets, sometimes you're going to have these people who are just very negative about you, your organization, your service, or your software. And we once had a user like this, and I didn't know the customer personally, but we went on to a 3-day on-site conference with one of our enterprise customers, and we brought about 5 people from our team, and the account manager for that particular account pointed at me and said, "Hey, Chris, that guy submits a lot of tickets, and he's just generally not happy with our software or our team." And I said, "Okay, cool." So I walked over to him and I said, "Hey, we're between sessions. Do you have an hour to talk to me about your issues?" And he goes, "No, fine, whatever." He didn't look thrilled to be speaking to me, but we were one of the sponsors of the conference and he was willing to at least give me that hour. So I said, "Can you walk me through your issues?" And he showed me some of them and I resolved one of his key pains during that hour. So he ended up thanking me for that. And I said, "I know you're not happy with the software, and can I ask you for a favor? I can't improve the software unless I spend time with the people who use it, and your particular use case is unique to your department. So I don't know if we've spent enough time with you or your department. Can I spend 2 hours with you the next time you're near us? I'll see what you do, and I'll try to see if I can help improve the software for your needs." So I was asking him for the favor. Now, the favor, it was very biased. I had just helped him, but he still had a negative opinion of us. But I did help him, and the favor was, "Can I spend 2 hours of your time? Can you spend 2 hours of your time with me?" So he had to acknowledge that and accept that. Now, the outcome of that favor is I was going to try to make the software that better for him and his use case. The second benefit he got was he got to feel important by having an executive spend 2 hours with him specifically. And he said, "You know what? Sure, I'm going to be down in your area in about 3 weeks, so we'll meet at this location." I said, "Great, I'll be there." I went and I spent 2 hours with him. And now I've invested more time in the organization, his department, and him personally. I'm investing in the relationship, and I'm legitimately trying as a product manager to improve the product. But I wanted him to know that I wanted to make the software better for him, and I was committed to doing that. You cannot fake caring. At the end of the 2 hours, he said, "I appreciate this. A lot of the issues I had were resolved." He goes, "But I still have some issues." I said, let me give you my cell phone number." And he said, "Thank you." I said, "No, thank you. Anytime you have an issue that's unresolved in 24 hours, send me a text message and I'll get to the bottom of it." And of course, he was very appreciative. So to this day, 11 years later, and years after I stopped working for that SaaS company, he still texts me. He texts me on Thanksgivings. He texts me on Christmas. He texts me the occasional joke. This relationship came from a guy who was incredibly negative about our organization. And I invested an hour trying to help him while we were at the conference. And then a few weeks later, I spent 2 more hours with him. But I slowly turned one of our biggest detractors into someone who no longer spoke negatively about our organization. And when particular people asked him questions, it actually started to shift to being positive feedback. He started to become an internal champion slowly inside his own department and to other departments. And when he had people who had complaints, he said, just text or call this guy, he'll help you out. It was because I asked him for that favor of spending 2 hours with him that it completely changed the relationship. So don't be afraid to take a negative or a negative person and fix it and ask for a favor that makes sense in the context of your particular situation. If you do it enough times, you will make a difference. Formal versus informal. This is not about your clothing, your communication patterns, or anything else. This is actually about the tools. I would suggest you lean into formality. Formality finds itself around SLAs and tickets and those kinds of things. You can think of it as Freshdesk or Zendesk as being more informal. Informality is just general communication. You can think of it as Slack, email, front app. The more formal your support processes, the structure, the more you're able to categorize issues, view trends, and make large-scale improvements. Those improvements are harder to do through a number of unstructured or informal situations and communications. Formality is also important because you have increased revenue opportunities through formality. Offering SLAs is one of the ways to increase perceived value. Another way to increase perceived, both real and perceived value, is through offering increased formality around escalation processes. These help inform your customers that you are extremely serious about their needs. It also offers potential upsells. For example, we have an SLA around response time. We respond to tickets in 6 hours. We will try to resolve them as fast as possible. Some of your clients may want a faster response time. Let's say they want 3 hours. This affords us a chance to have a dialogue where we can solve problems with and for the customer. And this could be a minor shift, or it could put you in a situation where you would have to staff differently. You have opportunities to have a dialogue about the customer's desires and its importance to them, and that provides the context on where additional services, training, or customer needs might be, because when you explicitly write them down formally and you have formal processes for handling them in your organization, your dialogue and your processes, your customers are going to appreciate that because they know what to expect. Setting expectations is important. You can slowly change the nature of relationships as they happen over time. It's not something that you want to get into the nines of the negotiations on the first contract, but as you get a bigger and bigger percentage of their spend, as you get to bigger contracts, as you get to increased penetration, you can slowly ratchet up the SLAs and the formality. We had a customer with an SLA, I think it was 8 to 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, that we offered support. And then over time, they wanted the weekends, so we added the weekends. And over time, they wanted 24/7 because they wanted to deploy additional sites internationally. And then they wanted to start to expand the number of languages that our support team spoke. And all of those things were opportunities to drive either new contractual arrangements, potential upsells, or even longer-term agreements. Getting specific about your help desk system and getting formal around that is a great way to deliver long-term additional value. Now, I've already said I recommend using a formal system. Zendesk, Freshdesk, and Intercom are the 3 that I've used. There are hundreds of others. Informally, I've only used Front from what I would consider a help desk, but I don't really consider just raw emails and chat to be help desks because they are close to impossible to process and then use and classify or categorize so that you can build your reporting infrastructure adequately. Those reports will support your weekly, monthly, and quarterly cadences, and they're critically important to the success of the long-term account expansion process. Thank you, and have a nice day.